He wonders if the river spirit still remembers the promise his grandfather made. A quiet pact whispered to the water under a full moon many generations ago. It is a thought that comes to him only in this deep, pre-dawn stillness. A silent question hanging in the cool air of his small hut. The world outside is a canvas of deep indigo, not yet touched by the sun, and inside there is only the sound of gentle breathing. As this journey begins, if you wish to share this calm with others, a gentle press of the like button is all that is needed. To continue these explorations, feel free to subscribe. There is no bell to ring, only peace to be found. Now, let us settle in, let the weight of your day fall away, and listen to the unfolding of a single day, a simple life, a long time ago. The first awareness is not of light, but of a change in the quality of the darkness. The black of deep night softens to a charcoal grey. It is a subtle shift, a promise more than a presence. Inside the small hut, made of earth and wood, the air is cool and still. It carries the faint, sweet scent of dried thatch from the roof and the earthy smell of the floor. Li Wei is the farmer. His breathing is slow and even, a quiet rhythm in the sleeping world. He lies on a mat of woven reeds, firm beneath his back. The blanket that covers him is made of coarse but warm hemp fabric. It is a familiar weight, a comforting pressure that has guided him into sleep every night of his life. There are no sudden noises to wake him. There is no alarm. His body knows the time. The rooster has not yet called. The village dogs are silent. It is the time between times, the space between the last dream of the night and the first thought of the day. Li Wei does not open his eyes yet. He simply lies there, feeling the world awaken around him in slow, careful degrees. He can feel the presence of his wife, May, sleeping soundly beside him. Her breathing is a soft whisper, a counterpoint to his own. On the other side of the single room, their young son An sleeps on his own small mat. In the profound quiet, Li Wei can almost hear the boy's dreams. Tales of chasing dragonflies and floating leaf boats down the irrigation channels. This quiet moment is precious. It is a time for gathering himself, for letting the pieces of his awareness drift back together into a whole. He thinks of the fields. He can see them perfectly in his mind. The neat squares of water and earth reflecting the vast, empty sky. He can feel the thick, cool mud between his toes. He can smell the green scent of the young rice shoots, a fragrance of life and hope. The rice is a demanding master, but a generous one. It asks for his time, his sweat, his care. In return, it gives life. His body begins to stir, not with a command from his mind, but from a deep, ancient instinct. A finger twitches. A muscle in his leg tightens and then releases. It is the body's way of preparing for the long day of work ahead. The work is hard, but it is good. It is the work his father did, and his father before him. It is the rhythm of his existence. He turns his head slightly on the woven pillow, the reeds rustling softly. The sound is delicate, like the whisper of wind through dry grass. He still does not open his eyes. He is holding onto the peace of the night for a few moments longer. He listens for the first bird call, the true signal that the day is ready to begin. The silence deepens, stretches. It is a comfortable silence, full of unspoken things. It holds the love for his family, the respect for the land, the hope for a good harvest. These feelings do not need words. They exist in the stillness, in the shared space of this simple hut. He feels a sense of profound connection to this small corner of the world. His place is here. His purpose is clear. It is written in the turning of the seasons, in the cycle of planting and harvesting. There is a purity in this life, a lack of complication that the men in the cities, with their silks and their politics, could never understand. His wealth is not measured in coins, but in the fullness of his grain store and the health of his family. A faint line of pale grey appears at the bottom of the wooden door. The night is beginning to surrender. Li Wei takes a slow, deep breath, filling his lungs with the cool, clean air. He holds it for a moment, then lets it out in a long, silent sigh. It is a release of sleep, an acceptance of the coming day. He feels the energy begin to gather in his limbs, a quiet power waking up. The work will be the same as yesterday and the day before. It is a pattern, a dance with the sun and the water and the earth. There is comfort in this repetition. It is predictable, knowable. In a world of floods and droughts and changing fortunes, the rhythm of the rice field is a constant. It is an anchor. He thinks about the water level in the main paddy. He had adjusted the sluice gate yesterday evening, letting a small, steady stream in from the canal. He hopes it was just enough. Too much water is as bad as too little. It is a delicate balance, a constant negotiation with nature. Every day requires observation, judgment, and a little bit of faith. The promise his grandfather made to the river spirit surfaces in his mind again. It was a promise of respect, a vow to take only what was needed, to keep the water clean, to honor the life within it. His grandfather had said the river spirit was a powerful protector of those who showed gratitude. Li Wei always made a small offering of grain at the start of the planting season, a continuation of the tradition. He hopes it is enough. He slowly, carefully pushes his blanket aside. The movement is silent, practiced. He does not want to wake Mao An. These few moments of solitude are his own. He sits up on the reed mat. The packed earth floor is cool beneath his bare feet. He stays there for a moment, letting his body adjust to being upright. The hut is still dark, but his eyes have adjusted. He can see the faint outlines of things. The low wooden table, the clay pots and water jug in the corner, the simple loom where May weaves their cloth. Each object is familiar, imbued with a history of use. They are not just things. They are part of the fabric of his life. The first bird call arrives. It is a single, clear note, piercing the silence. It is answered by another, then another. The world is waking up. The symphony of the morning is beginning. It is time. Li Wei rises to his feet, a silent shadow in the growing dawn. His day, the day of a farmer, has begun. He moves with a quiet grace, a man perfectly at home in his world. The air inside the hut feels thick with sleep, with the warmth of his family. He feels a gentle wave of love for them, for this life. It is not an easy life, but it is a full one. It is a life tied to the real things of the world: soil, water, sun, and the love of family. He would not trade it for anything. He moves towards the corner where the large clay water jug stands. It is cool to the touch. He lifts the wooden lid, the sound barely a whisper. He dips a wooden ladle into the water and brings it to his lips. The water is cool and clean, tasting of the earth and the deep well from which it was drawn. It washes away the last traces of sleep from his throat. He feels ready. The day is waiting. The fields are waiting. The rice is waiting. And he is here to answer their call. He is a part of the great cycle, a caretaker of the land, a provider for his family. His purpose is as clear and simple as the water he has just drunk. It is a good feeling. It is a solid foundation upon which to build his day. The light at the bottom of the door is now a soft, pearly white. The world is changing color, from the dark blues and grays of night to the soft pastels of dawn. He knows that soon the sun will crest the distant hills, and its golden light will spill across the valley, turning the water in the paddies to liquid gold. It is a sight he has seen thousands of times, but it never fails to stir something deep within him. He moves to the door, his hand resting on the wooden latch. He pauses, listening one last time to the soft breathing of his family. They are his reason. They are the heart of his work. Everything he does for them. With a final, quiet breath, he lifts the latch. The door opens without a sound, and the new day greets him. The air that meets him is fresh and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and growing things. It is a clean smell, a smell of life. The sky is a gentle wash of pink and orange along the eastern horizon. The stars are fading, their light growing thin as the sun begins its ascent. The world is quiet, but it is an active quiet, humming with the energy of a new beginning. Li Wei stands in the doorway of his hut for a moment, taking it all in. His village is a small cluster of similar earthen homes, nestled by a gentle bend in the river. A thin wisp of smoke is already rising from a neighbor's roof, a sign that he is not the only one awake. The other families are also beginning their day, tied to the same rhythms, the same sun. He walks a few paces from his door, his bare feet sinking slightly into the soft, damp ground. The dew is heavy on the sparse blades of grass, each drop a tiny jewel reflecting the dawn light. He performs a series of slow, deliberate stretches. He reaches for the sky, his back arching, his muscles waking up. He touches his toes, feeling the gentle pull in his legs. These movements are a ritual, a way of preparing his body for the long hours of labor. He is not a young man anymore, but his body is strong and wiry, conditioned by a lifetime of physical work. He knows its limits and its strengths. He treats it with respect, for it is the tool with which he builds his life. He breathes deeply, in and out, his breath misting in the cool morning air. After his stretches, he walks to the small, sheltered area behind the hut that serves as their cooking space. A simple clay stove sits there, cold and silent. Beside it is a neat stack of firewood and a basket of kindling. He kneels down and begins the process of making a fire. His movements are efficient and unhurried. He has done this thousands of times. He arranges the kindling in the stove, creating a small, airy structure. He takes out his flint and steel. With a few sharp strikes, a spark leaps into the tinder. He blows on it gently, coaxing the tiny spark into a small flame. The flame licks at the dry twigs, growing stronger, casting a warm, flickering light on his face. The fire catches, and a satisfying crackle fills the morning air. He adds a few larger pieces of wood, ensuring the fire will burn steadily. The warmth feels good on his hands. As the fire grows, he fills a clay pot with water from the jug and a few handfuls of rice from their storage jar. This will be their breakfast, a simple rice porridge or kanji. He places the pot on the stove. Now he must wait. But it is not an idle wait. He uses the time to prepare for the day. He checks his tools, which lean against the wall of the hut. The broad-bladed hoe, its wooden handle worn smooth by his hands. The sharp-edged sickle, used for harvesting. The sturdy yoke he will use to carry buckets of water. He runs a hand over the edge of the hoe. It is still sharp enough. He examines the bindings that hold the metal to the wood. They are tight and secure. His tools are his partners in the field. He takes care of them, and they take care of him. A broken tool in the middle of the day means lost time, and time is precious during the growing season. The sky is getting brighter now. The soft pinks are giving way to a more brilliant gold. The shapes of the distant mountains are becoming clear, their peaks wreathed in a soft morning mist. The sounds of the village are growing. A distant cow lows. A dog barks a lazy greeting to the morning. The soft murmur of voices can be heard from other homes. The porridge begins to bubble in the pot. A comforting, starchy aroma fills the air. Li Wei gives it a stir with a long wooden spoon. He watches the grains of rice swell and soften, breaking down into a thick, warm soup. It is a humble meal, but it is nourishing. It will provide the energy he needs for the morning's work. He hears a sound from the hut. The door creaks open, and May appears. She is tying her long, dark hair back as she walks towards him. She smiles a soft, sleepy smile. She does not speak, and neither does he. Words are not needed. They move around each other in a familiar, comfortable dance. She takes the spoon from him and tends to the porridge, while he goes to the small vegetable patch beside the hut. He plucks a few green onions and a handful of herbs. The dew on their leaves feels cool on his fingers. He brings them back to May, who chops them finely and adds them to the pot, along with a pinch of salt. The simple meal is now complete. Anne, their son, emerges from the hut, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. He is a small boy with his father Saria's eyes and his mother gentle smile. He comes and stands by the fire, soaking in its warmth. May ladles the hot porridge into 3 simple clay bowls. The steam rises from them, carrying the savory scent of onion and herbs. They sit together on a low wooden bench, holding their warm bowls. They eat in silence, listening to the sounds of the morning. This quiet time together is important. It is a moment of connection before the day pulls them in different directions. May will have her own work, tending the garden, feeding the chickens, weaving cloth. Anne will help her, and perhaps bring his father a midday meal in the fields. The porridge is warm and satisfying. It fills the belly and soothes the soul. Li Wei eats slowly, savoring each spoonful. He is mindful of his food, grateful for it. He knows that every grain of rice in his bowl is the result of hard work, his own and that of his ancestors, who developed these farming techniques over countless generations. As he eats, he watches the sun finally break free from the horizon. The first direct rays of sunlight spill over the mountain tops, flooding the valley with golden light. The world seems to hold its breath for a moment, then bursts into life. The colors become vibrant. The mist in the low-lying areas begins to burn off. The day has truly arrived. He finishes his meal and places the empty bowl aside. He feels a sense of quiet determination. He knows what he must do today. The tasks are laid out in his mind, clear and orderly. He must check the irrigation channels, weed the northern paddy, and reinforce a section of the earthen bank that was weakened by the last rain. He stands up and does a final check of his person. His simple trousers are tied securely at the waist. His straw sandals are ready by the door. He will wear his wide-brimmed conical hat to protect him from the sun, but not yet. It is still too early. He prefers to feel the cool morning air on his face for as long as possible. May has already begun to clean the bowls, her movements efficient and graceful. Anne is scattering some grain for the few chickens they keep in a small coop. The small household is a hive of quiet, purposeful activity. Everyone has their role, their contribution. They are a team, working together for their shared survival and well-being. Li Wei walks to the edge of the small yard that fronts his hut. He looks out over the valley towards his family's ancestral fields. They are a patchwork of green and brown, shimmering with the reflected light of the sky. This land has sustained his family for as long as anyone can remember. He feels a deep sense of responsibility towards it. He is not its owner, but its guardian. He takes one last look back at his home, at May and Anne. They are his anchor, his strength. He gives a small nod, a silent farewell, and turns towards the path that leads to the fields. The sun is climbing higher in the sky. The air is starting to warm. The long day of work is waiting for him, and he is ready to meet it. The path from the village is not a road, but a narrow track of packed earth. It has been worn smooth by the feet of generations of farmers. It winds its way between the other small huts, past vegetable gardens and chicken coops, before leading out into the open expanse of the rice paddies. Li Wei's steps are steady and rhythmic. He carries his hoe over his shoulder, its weight familiar and balanced. His straw sandals make a soft, shuffling sound on the dirt path. The morning air is still cool, but he can feel the promise of the day's heat building with the rising sun. He is not alone on the path. Other farmers from his village are also making their way to their ancestral plots of land. He exchanges quiet greetings with them, a nod of the head, a raised hand, a soft-spoken "Good morning, Brother Wong." There is no need for loud conversation. They are all bound by the same purpose, the same daily pilgrimage. The talk, when it happens, is of practical things. The amount of rain last night, the health of the new rice shoots, a problem with pests in a neighbor's field. It is a sharing of knowledge, a quiet form of community support. They are all in this together, their fortunes tied to the same weather, the same river. The path leaves the village behind and begins to trace the edge of the main irrigation canal. The water flows slowly, a murky, life-giving artery for the fields. Li Wei can hear the gentle gurgle of the water as it moves. Small fish dart in the shallows, their scales flashing in the morning sun. Dragonflies, their wings like stained glass, hover over the water's surface. He pauses for a moment to look at the water level in the canal. It is good. The recent rains in the mountains have kept it full. This is a blessing. He has seen years of drought when the canal was nothing but a cracked, dry ditch, and the fields were parched and barren. He never takes the water for granted. He continues his walk, the landscape opening up around him. The rice paddies stretch out in every direction, a vast, terraced chessboard of water and earth. The terraces follow the gentle contours of the land, climbing the lower slopes of the hills in a series of giant, graceful steps. It is a landscape shaped by human hands over centuries, a monument to persistence and ingenuity. Each paddy is a mirror, reflecting the brilliant blue of the sky and the soft white of the clouds. The young rice plants are a vibrant, almost electric green against the brown water. They stand in neat, orderly rows, a testament to the careful work of planting. From a distance, the fields look like a giant, shimmering mosaic. Li Wei breathes in the smell of the fields. It is a complex aroma, a mixture of wet earth, clean water, and the fresh, green scent of the rice plants. To him, it is the smell of life itself. It is the smell of home. It clears his mind and focuses his thoughts on the work that lies ahead. His family's paddies are a little farther than most, nestled in a small, sheltered bend of the valley. It is a good location. The soil is rich, and the land is protected from the worst of the winds. His grandfather chose this spot wisely. Li Wei feels a connection to him as he walks, a sense of following in his footsteps, both literally and figuratively. He passes a small shrine by the side of the path. It is a simple structure of stones dedicated to the local earth god. A few sticks of incense from the previous day are still in the small holder, their ashes a faint grey powder. Someone has left a small offering of an orange. Li Wei pauses for a moment and bows his head in a gesture of respect. He asks for the gods' continued blessing on the land and the harvest. The sun is climbing higher now, its warmth spreading across his shoulders. He can feel the day beginning in earnest. The birds are more active, their songs filling the air. He can hear the distant, rhythmic sound of another farmer already at work, the steady chop 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 of a hoe breaking up the soil. He turns off the main path onto a smaller, narrower dike that separates two large paddies. He must walk carefully here. The earthen walls are only a foot or so wide. On either side is the deep, muddy water. He walks with a natural balance, his body accustomed to these narrow walkways. He has been walking them since he was a small boy. He can see his own fields now. They look healthy. The rice shoots are a good height for this time of year. Their color is a deep, rich green, a sign that they are well nourished. He feels a quiet sense of satisfaction. His hard work is paying off. But he knows that the work is far from over. The rice will require constant attention for many months to come. He arrives at the edge of his first paddy. He stops and takes a moment to survey the scene, to plan his morning. He decides to start with the weeding. The weeds are competitors for sunlight, water, and nutrients. They must be removed to give the rice the best chance to grow strong and healthy. He takes off his straw sandals and leaves them on the dry dike. He rolls up his trousers to his knees. He places his hoe on the ground and takes a deep breath. The water in the paddy looks cool and inviting. He knows the mud will be thick and heavy. He steps off the dike and into the water. It is cold, a sudden shock to his warm skin, but the feeling quickly fades, replaced by the familiar sensation of the cool water swirling around his calves. His feet sink into the soft, deep mud at the bottom of the paddy. The mud oozes between his toes, a strange but not unpleasant feeling. It is the foundation of his livelihood, the very substance from which his family's food will grow. He stands there for a moment, letting himself become accustomed to the feel of the paddy. The water is about knee-deep. He can see small water beetles skating across the surface and hear the low hum of insects in the air. He is no longer an observer of this world. He is a part of it. He is one with the water, the mud, and the rice. He looks up at the vast sky, then down at the green shoots all around him. He feels a sense of peace, of rightness. This is where he belongs. The sun is on his back, the earth is beneath his feet, and the day's work is laid out before him. With a quiet sense of purpose, he reaches down and pulls the first weed. The day has truly begun. He will spend the next several hours in this state, moving slowly and methodically through the paddy. It is a form of meditation. His mind will be focused on the simple, repetitive task, but it will also be free to wander. He will think of his family, of the village, of the seasons, and he will feel a deep, quiet connection to the land that sustains him. Before the main work of weeding can begin in earnest, Li Wei takes a slow, careful walk around the perimeter of his largest paddy. This is a daily inspection, a quiet conversation with his land. He is looking for any changes, any potential problems that need his attention. His eyes, trained by years of experience, scan the scene with a focused calm. He first checks the earthen walls, the dikes that hold the precious water in. He looks for any signs of erosion or weakness. A small animal burrow, if left unattended, could quickly become a major leak, draining the paddy and wasting water. He runs his hand along the packed earth, feeling for soft spots. He finds one small section, where the recent rain has washed away some of the soil. It is not a serious problem yet, but it must be fixed. He makes a mental note to return here later in the day with his hoe and some fresh mud to build the wall back up. It is this constant vigilance, this attention to small details, that ensures a successful harvest. Next, he walks to the small, simple sluice gate that controls the flow of water into the paddy from the main canal. It is a simple device, just a few wooden planks that can be raised or lowered. He had opened it slightly last night. Now he checks the water level. It is perfect. The water is at the ideal depth, covering the roots of the rice plants, but not so high that it submerges their leaves. He kneels down and watches the water for a moment. He can see tiny tadpoles swimming in the shallows. A small frog, startled by his presence, plops into the water from its perch on a clod of earth. These small creatures are a good sign. They indicate a healthy ecosystem. They help to control pests, like the insects that might otherwise eat the young rice shoots. He feels the temperature of the water with his hand. It is cool, but not cold. The sun, as it climbs higher in Neski, will warm it throughout the day. This warmth is important for the growth of the rice. Everything is in balance. The sun, the water, the earth, the plants, the animals. It is a delicate web of life, and he is its steward. Satisfied with the water level, he closes the sluice gate for now. The paddy has enough water for the morning. He will check it again at midday. Water management is one of a farmer's most important skills. It is a constant dance of observation and adjustment, a skill passed down through generations. Now he turns his attention to the surface of the water itself. He looks for any signs of disease or pests on the rice plants. He sees none. The leaves are a healthy, uniform green. He also looks for the iridescent sheen of certain types of algae that can sometimes choke the water, starving the rice of oxygen and sunlight. The water today is clear and clean. He feels a sense of relief and gratitude. So far, the season has been a good one. The weather has been favorable and the plants are strong. But he knows not to become complacent. Nature is powerful and unpredictable. A sudden storm, a prolonged drought, or an infestation of pests could ruin a crop in a matter of days. He must remain watchful. Having completed his inspection, he is ready to begin the main task of the morning. He will not be weeding today, he decides. The weeds are still small. Instead, he will focus on another crucial task, aerating the soil. The mud at the bottom of the paddy can become compacted over time, which makes it difficult for the rice roots to grow and absorb nutrients. He retrieves his hoe from the dike. It is a heavy, sturdy tool. He wades into the center of the paddy, the water swirling around his thighs. He positions himself between two rows of rice plants, taking care not to disturb them. Then he begins the work. He lifts the hoe high and brings it down with a smooth, powerful motion. The broad blade slices into the thick mud at the bottom of the paddy. He then pulls the hoe towards him, turning the soil over. The movement releases a cloud of trapped gases, which bubble to the surface of the water. A rich, earthy smell rises into the air. This is hard work. It requires strength and endurance. His back and shoulder muscles tense with each stroke. But it is a rhythmic, repetitive motion, and he soon falls into a steady pace. Lift, plunge, pull, lift, plunge, pull. The sounds of his work become a part of the morning symphony. The splash of the hoe entering the water, the thick, sucking sound as it pulls through the mud, the soft gurgle of the released bubbles. He works his way slowly down the row, churning the soil around the base of the rice plants. This process does a few important things. It loosens the soil, allowing the roots to spread out more easily. It brings nutrient-rich soil from deeper down up to the surface, and it buries any small nascent weeds, preventing them from growing larger. The sun is higher now, its warmth turning to heat. Sweat begins to bead on his forehead and run down his temples. He is breathing more heavily, but his pace does not slow. He is lost in the rhythm of the work. His mind becomes quiet, focused only on the task at hand. The hoe, the mud, the water. This is a form of active meditation. There is no room for worrying about the past or the future. There is only the present moment, the physical exertion, the connection with the earth. He can feel the life in the soil, the energy of the growing plants. He is not simply working on the land, he is communicating with it through his labor. He works for what feels like a long time, moving from one row to the next. He does not think about how much he has done or how much is left to do. He simply focuses on the next stroke of the hoe. This is the way to accomplish a large task, one small, deliberate action at a time. It is a lesson the rice has taught him. He pauses for a moment to straighten his back and wipe the sweat from his brow with the back of his arm. He looks out over the section of the paddy he has just worked. The water is cloudy with churned mud, and the surface is still bubbling in places. He can feel the difference already. The soil is looser, more alive. He takes a drink of water from a gourd he has left on the dike. The water is warm from the sun, but it is refreshing. He rinses his mouth and splashes some on his face and neck. He looks up at the sun, judging the time. It is still mid-morning. He has several more hours of work before he will stop for his midday meal. He feels a deep sense of satisfaction. This is real work. It is productive, tangible. He can see the results of his efforts immediately. He is not pushing paper or trading coins. He is helping to create food from the soil and the sun. There is an honesty and a dignity in this work that he would not trade for anything. With a renewed sense of purpose, he wades back into the water, his hoe once again in his hands. He finds his rhythm again, quickly. Lift, plunge, pull. The sun beats down on his back, but a gentle breeze ripples across the surface of the paddy, providing a small measure of relief. He is a part of the landscape now, a solitary, focused figure in a sea of green and brown. The work continues. After working the soil for a long time, Li Wei decides it is time to turn his attention to the weeds. While his hoeing has buried the smallest ones, there are always some that are more stubborn, more established. These must be removed by hand. It is slow, painstaking work, but it is absolutely essential. He moves to a different section of the paddy, one he had not yet churned with his hoe. Here, the water is clearer, and he can see the bottom more easily. He begins to walk slowly, his eyes scanning the base of the rice plants. He is looking for anything that is not rice. Any imposter, any thief of sunlight and water. His eyes are sharp. He can spot the subtle differences in the shape and color of the leaves. He sees a small clump of barnyard grass, a common and troublesome weed. It looks very similar to young rice, a clever deception of nature. But Leeway is not fooled. He has seen it 1,000 times. He bends down, his back straight, his knees bent. He reaches into the water, his hands disappearing into the murky coolness. He feels for the base of the weed. His fingers sink into the soft mud. He must be careful to get the entire root system. If he leaves even a small piece of the root behind, the weed will grow back, stronger than before. He closes his fingers around the base of the plant and pulls, slowly and steadily. There is a satisfying, sucking sound as the roots release their grip on the mud. He brings the weed up out of the water. It is a tangled mass of green leaves and long, white roots, dripping with mud and water. He does not simply discard it. That would be wasteful, and the weed might even re-roo itself. Instead, he has a specific technique. He turns the weed upside down and pushes it deep into the mud between the rows of rice. There, deprived of sunlight, it will decompose and become fertilizer for the very plants it was trying to harm. It is a small act of transformation, of turning a negative into a positive. He straightens up and moves on, his eyes scanning again. This is the rhythm of weeding. Scan, spot, bend, pull, bury. It is a slow, methodical dance. His movements are fluid and economical. He wastes no energy. He has learned over the years that endurance is more important than speed. The day is long, and he must pace himself. The sun is higher in Vesky now, approaching its peak. The heat is becoming more intense. The air is thick and humid. Sweat trickles constantly down his face and back. His simple clothes are damp. To protect himself from the sun's harsh rays, he now retrieves his conical straw hat from the dike and places it on his head. The wide brim of the hat casts a welcome shadow over his face and neck. It is a simple but effective piece of technology, perfected over centuries. It is light, and the woven straw allows air to circulate, keeping his head cool. It is as essential a tool as his hoe or his sickle. He works on, his focus unwavering. He finds other types of weeds, a patch of water, clover, a few strands of duckweed floating on the surface, which he scoops up with his hands. Each weed has its own character, its own way of growing, its own preferred location. He knows them all, as a scholar knows his books. This intimate knowledge of the land, of the plants and animals, is his true wealth. It cannot be bought or sold. It is earned through a lifetime of observation, of trial and error, of listening to the wisdom of his elders. He is a part of a long chain of knowledge, and he hopes to one day pass it on to his son, an heir. As he works, he is not entirely silent. He sometimes hums a quiet, tuneless song to himself. It is a simple melody that his father used to hum while working in these same fields. The song is a connection to his past, a way of feeling the presence of his ancestors. It makes the solitary work feel less lonely. He also talks to the rice plants, not in a loud voice, but in a soft, low murmur. He encourages them to grow strong and tall. He promises them that he will protect them from the weeds and the pests. Some might think this is foolish, but to Leeway, it feels natural. The rice is a living thing. It responds to care and attention, just like a child or an animal. He thinks about the life cycle of the rice. He remembers the feeling of the hard, dry seeds in his hand before planting. He remembers the delicate, bright green sprouts in the nursery bed. He remembers the back-breaking work of transplanting each seedling, one by one, into this paddy, and he thinks of the future. He imagines the plants growing tall and strong, their leaves rustling in the summer breeze. He imagines the heads of grain beginning to form, small and green at first, then swelling and ripening to a rich, golden yellow. He imagines the harvest, the feel of the heavy stalks in his hand, the swish of the sickle. This vision of the future, of the bountiful harvest, is what fuels his work. It is what allows him to endure the hot sun, the aching back, the long hours. He is not just pulling weeds. He is cultivating a future for his family. He is ensuring that there will be food on their table through the long, cold winter. He loses all track of time. The sun is his only clock. When it is directly overhead, he knows that midday is approaching. His stomach begins to rumble, a gentle reminder that his body needs fuel. He has been working for several hours without a break. He decides to finish the row he is working on and then stop for his rest. He quickens his pace slightly, his movements becoming more urgent. He pulls the last few weeds from the end of the row with a sense of accomplishment. He has made good progress this morning. The paddy looks much cleaner, much healthier. He wades out of the paddy and back onto the dry dike. The feeling of the warm, dry earth on his muddy feet is a pleasant contrast. He walks to the edge of the field where a single, large willow tree grows. Its long, graceful branches provide a shady spot to rest. He uses water from a small, clean ditch to wash the thick mud from his hands, arms, and lower legs. The cool water is refreshing. He then sits down in the shade of the willow tree, leaning his back against its sturdy trunk. He takes off his hat and lets the breeze cool his sweaty hair. He closes his eyes for a moment, listening to the sounds of the countryside, the buzzing of bees in the nearby wildflowers, the croaking of frogs in the paddy, the gentle rustle of the willow leaves above him. It is a peaceful sound, the sound of a world in balance. He feels tired, but it is a good kind of tired. It is the satisfying fatigue that comes from honest, productive labor. He looks back at his work, at the rows of green rice shoots standing in the clear water. He feels a quiet pride. This is his creation, his responsibility. He is a small part of the great, ancient rhythm of nature, of the cycle of growth and harvest. And in this moment, sitting in the shade of the willow tree, he feels perfectly content. The sun is now at its highest point in the sky. It hangs like a great, white-hot lantern directly overhead. The heat is at its most intense. The air shimmers above the surface of the paddies. Most of the birds are silent, taking shelter from the heat in the cool depths of the bamboo groves. Even the insects seem to hum at a lower, lazier pitch. This is the time of day when work slows down or stops altogether. It is too hot for strenuous labor. To continue working in this heat would be foolish, even dangerous. Leeway, like all the other farmers, respects the power of the midday sun. He knows that rest is not a luxury. It is a necessary part of the day's rhythm. He sits comfortably in the shade of the large willow tree. The ground beneath him is soft with fallen leaves. The tree's long, drooping branches create a cool, green curtain, shielding him from the direct glare of the sun. A gentle breeze, coming off the water of the paddies, rustles the leaves and provides a welcome, natural fan. He takes out a small cloth bundle that he had brought with him. Inside is a piece of hard, dry flatbread and a few salted radishes. It is a simple, frugal meal, but it is enough. He eats slowly, chewing each mouthful thoroughly. He is in no rush. This time is for rest and recovery. As he eats, he watches the world around him. He sees a water buffalo belonging to a neighbor, wallowing in the mud of a nearby fallow field. Only its broad back and curved horns are visible. The buffalo is wise. It knows how to stay cool. Li Wei smiles. He has much in common with that great, placid beast. They are both servants of the soil. He finishes his small meal and takes another long drink from his water gourd. He feels his strength beginning to return. The food and the rest are replenishing the energy he spent during the morning's hard labor. His body is a remarkable machine, and he knows how to keep it running. He lies back against the trunk of the tree, pulling his hat down over his eyes to block out the light. He will not sleep deeply, but he will doze for a little while. This short nap is a common practice among the farmers. It helps to clear the mind and restore the body for the afternoon's work. His mind begins to drift. He is in that pleasant state between waking and sleeping. Thoughts and images float through his consciousness without order or effort. He thinks of his son, Anne. He wonders what the boy is doing right now. Probably helping his mother with her chores, or perhaps playing with the other village children by the river. He hopes Anne is learning the value of hard work, but also the importance of play. He wants his son to have a happy childhood. He wants him to grow up strong and healthy, to be a good man. He hopes that one day Anne will want to take over the family fields, to continue the traditions, but he knows that decision will have to be the boy's own. His thoughts drift to his wife, May. He pictures her at her loom, her hands moving deftly, her face calm and focused. She is the center of his world, the heart of their home. Her quiet strength and unwavering support are the foundation upon which he builds his life. He feels a wave of warmth and affection for her. The sounds of the countryside become a gentle, hypnotic lullaby. The buzzing of the insects, the croaking of the frogs, the distant, rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer from the village. These sounds are so familiar that he barely notices them consciously, but they are the soundtrack of his life. He thinks about the rice again. It is always in the back of his mind. He feels a deep, personal connection to the plants. He has tended them since they were just tiny seeds. He has watched them sprout and grow. He feels responsible for their well-being as if they were his children. He knows that the next few months will be crucial. The plants will need more water as they grow taller. He will have to be vigilant against pests. Like the swarms of locusts that can sometimes descend upon the valley and strip the fields bare in a matter of hours. He will have to continue the back-breaking work of weeding. And then there is the weather. A single, powerful hailstorm could flatten the entire crop. A typhoon blowing in from the sea could flood the fields and wash everything away. There are so many things that are beyond his control. All he can do is his best. He must work hard, be watchful, and have faith. He lets out a long, slow breath. There is no point in worrying about these things now. Worrying does not change the weather. It only saps one's strength. The best thing to do is to rest, to gather his energy for the tasks that he can control. His breathing becomes deeper and more regular. He is sinking into a light, restful sleep. His body is completely relaxed. The tension in his muscles, earned through the morning's work, begins to melt away. The earth supports him. The tree shelters him. The air cools him. He is safe. He dreams, not of grand adventures or strange creatures, but of simple, pleasant things. He dreams of a field of perfectly ripe, golden rice, swaying in the autumn breeze. He dreams of the happy laughter of his son. He dreams of the taste of May's cooking. They are simple dreams for a simple man, but they are full of peace and contentment. Time seems to stand still. The sun continues its slow journey across the sky. But here, in the cool shade of the willow, there is a sense of timelessness. This moment of rest is a small island of peace in the middle of a long sea of labor. It is a vital part of the pattern of his day, as important as the work itself. He does not know how long he has been dozing. It could be a few minutes or an hour. He is awakened not by a sound, but by a subtle change in the quality of the light. The sun has moved past its zenith, and the shadows are beginning to lengthen ever so slightly. He opens his eyes slowly. He feels refreshed, restored. The grogginess of sleep quickly fades, replaced by a renewed sense of clarity and purpose. He sits up and stretches, his joints cracking and popping. He feels ready for the afternoon's work. He stands up and looks out at the fields. The light is a little softer now, the heat a little less oppressive. The world is beginning to stir again from its midday slumber. He can hear the sounds of other farmers getting back to work. The time for rest is over. The time for labor has come again. He puts his hat back on his head, picks up his water gourd, and walks back towards the paddy. He is grateful for the rest he has had. It has divided the day into two manageable parts. He has accomplished much in the morning, and he will accomplish much in the afternoon. With a steady, determined stride, he prepares to re-enter the world of water, mud, and rice. Just as Li Wei is preparing to begin his afternoon work, he sees a small figure in the distance, walking along the narrow dike towards him. As the figure gets closer, he recognizes the familiar shape of his son, An. The boy is walking carefully, balancing a small basket in his hands. A smile touches Li Wei's lips. He wades out of the paddy and sits down again in his shady spot under the willow tree, waiting for his son to arrive. An's small legs move with a serious purpose. He is concentrating hard on not spilling the contents of the basket. Li Wei feels a surge of fatherly pride. The boy is learning responsibility. An reaches the willow tree, his face flushed with the heat and the effort of his walk. He holds the basket up to his father with both hands. "Mother sent lunch," he says, his voice a little breathless. "Thank you, my son," Li Wei says, taking the basket. "You did well to carry it all this way without spilling anything." An beams with pride at his father's praise. He sits down on the grass beside Li Wei. The basket is woven from reeds and covered with a clean cloth. Li Wei lifts the cloth. The smell of freshly cooked food rises to greet him. May has sent a bowl of steamed rice, some stir-fried vegetables from their garden, and a small piece of salted fish. It is a much more substantial meal than the dry bread he had earlier. This is his main meal of the day, the fuel that will power him through the rest of the afternoon. May knows this. She always makes sure he has a good, hot meal delivered to him in the fields. "Did you help your mother cook this?" Li Wei asks, as he picks up the chopsticks that were tucked into the side of the basket. "I washed the vegetables," An says proudly, "and I made sure the fire did not go out." "That is a very important job," Li Wei says seriously. "A good fire is the heart of a good meal." They eat together in a comfortable silence. Li Wei eats with a healthy appetite, the food tasting especially delicious after his morning of hard work. An has his own small bowl of rice. He eats with the focused concentration of a child, occasionally looking up to watch his father. This shared meal in the field is a special ritual. It is a moment of connection in the middle of the long workday. It reinforces the bond between father and son. and it reminds Li Wei of the family for whom he is working so hard. Every grain of rice he eats is a product of this land, this labor, and now he is sharing that product with his son. "How are the rice plants, father?" An asks, his mouth full. "They are strong," Li Wei replies. "The water is good, and the sun is bright. If we are lucky, we will have a good harvest this year." "Will there be enough to buy a new blanket for winter?" An asks. The old one is becoming thin and frayed. "I hope so, my son," Li Wei says, "and perhaps even enough for a sweet rice cake at the New Year festival." An's eyes light up at the thought of a sweet rice cake. It is a rare treat, a luxury that they can only afford in the best of years. The promise of this small pleasure is a powerful motivator. It gives a tangible purpose to the endless cycle of work. After they finish eating, May has also packed a small pot of weak tea. It is warm and soothing. Li Wei sips it slowly, feeling its warmth spread through his body. It helps to wash down the meal and settle his stomach. He offers some to An, who takes a small sip and makes a face. He is not yet old enough to appreciate the subtle, bitter taste of tea. They sit together for a while longer, simply enjoying the quiet and the shade. Li Wei points out different things to his son. He shows him the nest of a weaver bird, cleverly woven into the branches of the willow tree. He points to a line of ants, marching purposefully along a twig, carrying tiny pieces of leaves. He teaches An the names of the different water birds that wade in the shallows of the paddy. The elegant white egret, standing perfectly still as it waits for a fish. The noisy sandpiper, running along the water's edge on its thin legs. He is passing on his knowledge, his deep connection to this land, to the next generation. An listens with rapt attention, his eyes wide with curiosity. These are the most important lessons he will ever learn. They are not taught in a schoolhouse, but here, in the open air, with the earth as his classroom and his father as his teacher. He is learning to see the world not just as a place, but as a living, breathing community of which he is a part. Eventually, it is time for An to return to the village. The hottest part of the day has passed, and Li Wei must get back to his work. May will be waiting for the empty basket. "You must go now," Li Wei says gently. "Walk carefully and do not run. The path can be slippery." "I will, father," An says, standing up. Li Wei places the empty bowls and the teapot back into the basket and hands it to his son. He places a hand on the boy's head for a moment, a silent gesture of love and blessing. "Tell your mother that the meal was very good," he says. An nods, and with a final wave, he turns and begins his journey back to the village. Li Wei watches him go, a small, solitary figure walking with a new sense of purpose. He watches until the boy is just a small dot in the distance. This small interruption in his day has been more than just a meal. It has been a powerful reminder of his purpose. He is not just a farmer, working for himself. He is a husband and a father. He is the provider and protector of his family. This knowledge gives him renewed strength. He feels a deep sense of contentment. His life is simple, but it is rich in the things that truly matter. The love of his family, the connection to his land, the satisfaction of meaningful work. He has everything he needs. He stands up and stretches. The afternoon sun is still hot, but it has lost its earlier punishing intensity. A long stretch of work still lies ahead of him, but he feels ready for it. He is well fed, well rested, and his heart is full. He picks up his hoe, its wooden handle feeling familiar and comfortable in his hands. He gives one last glance in the direction his son has gone, then turns his attention back to the fields. The rice is waiting, the earth is waiting, and Li Wei, the farmer, is ready to answer their call once more. The rhythm of the day continues. The afternoon's work is different from the morning's. The sun is now beginning its slow descent towards the western mountains. The light has a warmer, more golden quality. The air, while still hot, feels less heavy. Li Wei's focus shifts from the plants themselves to the element that gives them life: water. He decides to address the weak spot he had found in the earthen dike earlier in the day. A secure wall is essential. A single breach could drain the paddy in a matter of hours, leaving the rice plants exposed to the hot sun, their roots drying out in the mud. This is a risk he cannot afford to take. He wades into the paddy, but this time he does not go to the center. He stays near the edge, by the section of the wall that needs repair. He uses his broad-bladed hoe not to churn the soil, but to scoop up large mounds of heavy, wet mud from the bottom of the paddy. He lifts the mud, thick and dripping, on the blade of his hoe. It is heavy, and it takes all his strength to raise it out of the water and deposit it onto the weak section of the dike. He works steadily, scoop after scoop, building up the wall, packing the new mud down firmly with the back of his hoe. It is messy, repetitive work. Mud splatters his legs and arms. But Li Wei does not mind. The mud is the stuff of life. It is cool and malleable in his hands. He works with the focus of a sculptor, shaping the earth, reinforcing the boundary between the water and the dry land. He works until the wall is strong and thick again, higher and wider than it was before. He smooths the surface with his hands, ensuring there are no cracks or gaps. He knows that the sun will bake the new mud hard, creating a strong, durable repair that will last for many weeks. Satisfied with his work on the dike, he turns his attention to the overall water system. His family's paddies are part of a larger, interconnected network. The water flows from the main river into a primary canal, then into smaller and smaller channels that feed each individual plot of land. It is a complex and ingenious system, maintained by the cooperative effort of the entire village. He decides to walk the length of the secondary channel that feeds his fields. He needs to ensure that the water is flowing freely, without any obstructions. A fallen branch, a build-up of silt, or a collapsed section of the bank could slow the flow and deprive the fields further down the line of their fair share of water. He walks slowly along the edge of the channel, his eyes scanning the water. He carries a long, sturdy bamboo pole, which he uses to probe the bottom and clear away any debris. He finds a small collection of leaves and twigs that have gathered at a bend in the channel, and uses the pole to push them along, breaking them up so they can flow away. Further down, he finds a more serious problem. A section of the channel bank has collapsed, partly blocking the flow of water. Some of it is spilling out and being wasted, creating a muddy puddle in the adjacent path. This is a common problem, and one that requires immediate attention. He lays down his bamboo pole and gets to work with his hoe again. First, he clears away the collapsed earth from the channel itself, scooping it out and allowing the water to flow freely again. The current immediately picks up speed, gurgling happily as it is released from its obstruction. Next, he must rebuild the collapsed bank. This is similar to the work he did on the paddy dike, but on a larger scale. He scoops up the earth that has spilled out and packs it back into place, reinforcing it with stones and clumps of tough, fibrous grass that he pulls from nearby. It is hard, tiring work. The sun is still strong, and he is working without the benefit of shade. But he knows how important this task is. The fair distribution of water is a matter of survival for the village. A farmer who neglects the shared channels and takes more than his share of water is looked upon with great scorn. Cooperation is the key to their collective success. He works for over an hour, rebuilding the bank, packing it down, ensuring it is strong and secure. When he is finished, the channel is clear, and the water is flowing as it should. He feels a sense of civic pride, of having done his part for the community. Now, he returns to his own paddies. The water level has dropped slightly throughout the day due to evaporation under the hot sun. It is time to let a little more water in. He walks back to the main sluice gate that connects his paddy to the feeder channel. He lifts the wooden planks just a little, allowing a small, controlled stream of water to begin flowing into his paddy. He does not open it all the way. A sudden, powerful rush of water could damage the young rice plants, bending or even breaking their delicate stalks. A gentle, steady flow is what is needed. He stands and watches for a long time, observing how the water moves. He watches it swirl around the base of the plants, watches the level slowly, almost imperceptibly, rise. He is judging the flow, calculating how long he should leave the gate open. This is a skill born of experience, not measurement. It is a feeling, an intuition. He can read the language of the water. He can see how it pools in the lower parts of the paddy and how it takes longer to reach the slightly higher corners. His field is not perfectly level, and he knows its topography intimately. He knows which areas need more water and which need less. After a while, he decides the flow is just right. He will leave it open for a while as he completes his final tasks of the afternoon. He walks to the far end of the paddy, where there is another, smaller, outflow gate. This gate allows excess water to drain out and flow into the paddy of his neighbor, who is located further down the slope. He checks this gate to ensure it is clear of debris. It is important that the water can both enter and leave his paddy. Stagnant water can breed disease and harm the rice. The water must always be in a state of slow, constant motion. It must be alive. He looks up at the sky. The sun is much lower now, casting long shadows across the valley. The heat of the day is finally beginning to break. The light is soft and beautiful. The paddies are like sheets of gold, reflecting the warm colors of the late afternoon sky. His main work for the day is done. The soil has been aerated. The weeds have been pulled. The walls have been reinforced. The water is flowing as it should. He has done everything he can to ensure the health and safety of his crop for another day. He feels a profound sense of accomplishment. It has been a long, hard day, but a good one. He has worked in harmony with the elements, using his skill and strength to nurture the land. He feels tired in his bones, but his spirit is content. He is a farmer. This is his life, and it is a good life. Although it is not the season of harvest, Li Wei's thoughts often turn to it. As he tends the young, green shoots, he sees in his mind's eye the golden, heavy-headed stalks of autumn. The work of tending is an act of faith in the future harvest. Today, his final task is not with the rice itself, but with the areas surrounding it. The narrow dikes that separate the paddies are not just walkways. They are an important part of the field's ecosystem. He needs to keep the grass and weeds that grow on them under control. If left to grow too long, they can drop seeds into the water, creating more work for him later. Their roots can also destabilize the earthen walls. He retrieves his sickle from where he left it with his other tools. The The tool has a curved, crescent moon blade and a short wooden handle. The blade is sharp, honed on a whetstone just a few days ago. He tests its edge with his thumb. It is keen and ready. He begins to work his way along the top of the main dike. He stoops low, his body coiled like a spring. With a swift, practiced motion, he swings the sickle. The blade makes a soft, satisfying swish as it cuts through the tall grass. The cut stalks fall neatly to the side. This work has a rhythm all its own. Swing, swish, step, swing, swish, step. It is a dance he has known since he was a boy. His body moves with an easy grace, his muscles remembering the pattern. He does not have to think about the movements. They are as natural as breathing. He is careful and precise. He cuts the grass low to the ground, but not so low that he damages the underlying earth. A good layer of grass roots is necessary to hold the dike together. It is another delicate balance, another judgment call based on experience. As he works, he is also watchful. The tall grass can be a hiding place for snakes or other unwelcome creatures. He keeps his eyes open, scanning the ground ahead of him before each swing of the sickle. He is in their world, and he must be respectful and aware. He clears the entire length of the main dike, leaving behind a neat, manicured path. The cut grass he does not waste. He gathers it into piles. Later, he will carry it back to the village. It will be used as fodder for the neighbor's water buffalo or as bedding for his own family's chickens. In a farmer's life, nothing is wasted. This task, while simple, is deeply satisfying. It is an act of creating order out of chaos. It is making the landscape neat and tidy, which is not just pleasing to the eye, but also practical and efficient. A clear dike is a safe dike to walk on. A clear dike is a healthy dike. He moves on to the smaller dikes that separate his own paddies. The work is the same, just on a smaller scale. Swing, swish, step. The sun is low behind him now, casting his long shadow far out over the water of the paddy. The air is cooling rapidly. The golden light of late afternoon is beginning to fade into the soft purples and oranges of twilight. He thinks about the actual harvest, the time when this same sickle will be used not for cutting grass, but for cutting the precious stalks of rice. He can almost feel it in his hands. The weight of the ripe grain, the rough texture of the stalk. He can hear the sound it will make, a slightly thicker, more substantial swish than the grass. He imagines the whole village working together in the fields, a great communal effort. The harvest is a time of celebration, but also of intense, urgent work. The rice must be brought in quickly once it is ripe, before the autumn rains can spoil it. Men, women, and even the older children will work from sunrise to sunset, their sickles rising and falling in a great synchronized rhythm. Then comes the threshing, the bundling, the carrying of the grain back to the village. His back aches just thinking about it, but it is a good ache, an ache born of abundance. It is the ache of a full granary, of security for the coming winter. These thoughts of the future give him energy. They remind him why this seemingly small task of cutting grass is so important. Every action he takes, every weed he pulls, every bit of grass he cuts, is a step towards that future, towards that bountiful harvest. It is all connected in the great cycle of the seasons. He finishes cutting the last of the dikes as the sun touches the top of the western mountains. The sky is ablaze with color. The surface of the paddies has become a perfect mirror, reflecting the fiery spectacle above. It is a moment of incredible, breathtaking beauty. Li Wei stands up straight, his work for the day finally complete. He stretches his tired back. He is covered in mud and sweat. His muscles ache, but he is not weary in spirit. He feels a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. He takes a moment to simply stand and watch the sunset. He does not do this every day, but today the sky is particularly beautiful. He feels a sense of awe and wonder. He is a small man in a vast, magnificent world, but he is a part of it. He has a role to play. He gathers the cut grass into his large carrying basket. He cleans his hoe and sickle in the water of the channel, wiping the blades clean with a handful of grass. He puts on his straw sandals, their dry texture a strange feeling after a day spent in mud and water. He looks out over his fields one last time. The young rice plants stand in neat, dark rows against the shimmering, colorful water. They look safe and peaceful. He has done all he can for them today. Now he must leave them to the night, to the moon and the stars. He shoulders his tools and lifts the basket of grass. It is a heavy load, but his body is used to it. He turns his back on the fields and begins the long walk home. The day of labor is over. The time for rest and family is about to begin. The path ahead is dark, but he knows the way by heart. The walk home is different from the walk to the fields in the morning. The world is quieter, softer. The vibrant colors of the day have mellowed into the muted tones of twilight. The air is cool and carries the scent of the cooling earth and the faint fragrance of night-blooming flowers. Li Wei's pace is slower now, more measured. His body is tired from the long day of labor. The heavy basket of grass and the weight of his tools are a familiar burden on his shoulders. But it is a good weight, the weight of accomplishment. The path is cast in shadow, but his eyes are accustomed to the low light. He knows every stone, every root, every turn in the path. He could walk it with his eyes closed. His feet, clad in their simple straw sandals, move with a steady, shuffling rhythm. He is not the only one heading home. He sees the dark silhouettes of other farmers on the path ahead of him and behind him. They are all moving in the same direction, drawn back to the warmth and light of the village. There is a sense of shared experience, of a communal day's work coming to an end. The conversations are even quieter than they were in the morning. A soft greeting, a tired sigh. There is not much energy left for words. They walk together in a comfortable, companionable silence, each man lost in his own thoughts, but aware of the presence of his neighbors. The sounds of the evening are beginning to rise up around him. The deep, resonating chorus of frogs from the paddies is much louder now. The chirping of crickets and other night insects begins, a high-pitched, steady hum that will be the soundtrack of the night. He sees the flicker of the first fireflies, tiny, magical lanterns blinking on and off in the tall grass by the side of the path. Anne would love this. He makes a mental note to bring his son out here one evening to see the spectacle. These small moments of beauty are a gift, a reward for the day's hard work. As he gets closer to the village, the smells change. The earthy scent of the fields gives way to the smell of wood smoke from the cooking fires. It is a comforting, domestic smell. It is the smell of home, of food, of family. It makes his tired legs move a little faster. He can see the village now, a cluster of low, dark shapes nestled against the land. A few warm, yellow lights flicker in the doorways and windows of the huts. It is a welcoming sight, a beacon of safety and rest at the end of the long day. He enters the village. The path widens slightly. He can hear the sounds of family life, the soft murmur of voices, the cry of a baby, the laughter of children playing one last game before being called inside. A dog barks a greeting as he passes. He reaches his own small hut. A warm light glows from the open doorway. May has lit the small oil lamp. He can smell the delicious aroma of their evening meal cooking. His stomach rumbles in anticipation. He is home. He sets down his heavy basket of grass by the chicken coop. The chickens cluck softly, already roosting for the night. He leans his tools carefully against the wall of the hut in their proper place, ready for the morning. He pauses for a moment before going inside. He looks up at the sky. The last vestiges of color have faded from the western horizon. The sky is now a deep, dark velvet, and the first stars are beginning to appear sharp and brilliant in the clear air. He takes a deep breath, letting go of the fields, of the work of the long day. He sheds the identity of farmer and prepares to become husband and father. He is crossing a threshold, not just into his home, but into a different part of his life. He steps through the doorway and into the warm, lamplit interior of his hut. May is by the stove, stirring a pot that sends delicious-smelling steam into the air. Anne is sitting at the low table, carefully trying to mend a small hole in a fishing net. They both look up as he enters, and their faces break into smiles. "You are home," May says, her voice soft and welcoming. "I am home," Liwei replies, and in those simple words there is a world of meaning. It is the end of the day's journey, the end of the day's labor. It is a return to the center of his world, to the people he loves. He has come full circle. The day is almost complete. Though the main work in the fields is done, the day's labor is not yet entirely over. There are still small but important evening chores to be completed. These tasks are part of the gentle rhythm that bridges the gap between the world of work and the world of rest. First, Liwei goes to the large water barrels that stand at the corner of their hut. They collect rainwater from the thatched roof. He checks their levels. They are reasonably full, thanks to the recent rains. This water is used for washing, for the small vegetable garden, and for the animals. He takes a large wooden bucket and fills it with water. He carries it over to the small enclosure where they keep their 2 goats. The goats bleat a greeting as he approaches. He pours the water into their trough, and they immediately begin to drink, their rough tongues lapping at the cool liquid. While they drink, he checks their small shelter, ensuring it is secure for the night. He gives them a handful of the fresh grass he brought back from the fields. They nibble it eagerly from his hand, their whiskers ticklish against his palm. These animals are important members of the household, providing milk and, occasionally, meat. Their well-being is his responsibility. Next, he tends to the chickens. He scatters the last of the day's grain for them and ensures their coop is securely latched. Foxes and other predators roam the night, and a careless farmer could lose his entire flock in a single evening. He listens to their soft, sleepy clucking for a moment before moving on. His final outdoor chore is to tend to the small vegetable garden that May so carefully cultivates. He uses another bucket of water to give the thirsty plants a drink. The ground is still warm from the day's sun, and the water soaks in quickly. He pulls a few small weeds that he spots in the twilight, his hands moving with an ingrained familiarity even in the low light. He can see the drooping leaves of the melon vines begin to perk up as they receive the water. He gently touches a large cucumber, feeling its firmness. It will be ready to pick in another day or 2. This garden is a vital source of food for their family, supplementing their diet of rice with fresh, healthy vegetables. With the outdoor chores complete, Li Wei turns his attention to himself. He is caked in the mud and sweat of the day's labor. He takes a bucket of water to a secluded spot behind the hut. He strips off his simple work clothes and begins to wash. The cool water is a shock at first, but it feels wonderful on his tired, aching muscles. He uses a rough cloth to scrub the dried mud from his skin. He washes his face, his arms, his legs, his feet. It is a ritual of purification, of washing away the dirt and fatigue of the fields. He feels the tension in his shoulders and back begin to dissolve under the cool water. He is not just cleaning his body, he is cleansing his mind. He is leaving the worries of the fields behind him, preparing himself for the peace and intimacy of the evening with his family. After he has washed, he puts on a set of clean, dry clothes. They are made of the same coarse hemp, but they feel soft and comfortable against his clean skin. He feels like a new man. He feels human again, no longer just a beast of burden caked in the mud of the earth. He enters the hut. The single room feels cozy and safe in the warm glow of the oil lamp. The lamp casts long, dancing shadows on the earthen walls. May has finished cooking, and the simple meal is laid out on the low wooden table. The air is filled with the comforting smell of home and food. Anne has put away the fishing net and is now sitting quietly, watching his mother. The atmosphere in the hut is one of peace and tranquility. The frantic, sun-drenched energy of the day has given way to the calm, introspective mood of the evening. Li Wei does not sit down to eat immediately. He has one final task. He goes to the corner of the hut where his tools are kept. He takes a clean, soft cloth and carefully wipes down his hoe and his sickle, removing any last traces of moisture and dirt. He then takes out his whetstone. He spits on it and begins to sharpen the blade of his sickle, drawing the metal across the stone in long, smooth strokes. The sound is a quiet, rhythmic shing, shing, shing. It is a meditative sound, a sound of preparation and care. He is not just sharpening a tool. He is showing respect for the instruments of his livelihood. He is ensuring that they will be ready for tomorrow's work. This small act of maintenance is a part of the discipline of being a good farmer. May watches him, a soft smile on her face. She knows this ritual well. It is a part of the rhythm of their lives, a quiet signal that the work of the day is well and truly done, and the time for family and rest can now begin. When he is satisfied that the blade is perfectly sharp, he carefully oils it with a small, greasy rag to prevent rust. He then puts the tools away. He turns to the table, his face calm and his heart at peace. The chores are finished. The day is complete. Now there is nothing left to do but share a meal with the people he loves in the simple, safe haven of their home. While Li Wei was completing his final chores, May was the quiet center of the hut, orchestrating the preparation of their evening meal. Her movements are a study in efficiency and grace, a silent ballet she performs every evening. The small cooking area, with its clay stove and limited utensils, is her domain, and she moves within it with an expert's confidence. The fire in the stove, which she had rekindled when Li Wei returned, burns with a steady, controlled heat. She knows exactly how much wood to add and when to keep the temperature perfect for cooking. The flickering firelight illuminates her face, highlighting her focused expression. Tonight's meal is simple, but it is prepared with care and love. The foundation, as always, is rice. She has already steamed a pot of it, and it sits to the side, staying warm, its fluffy, white grains fragrant and inviting. Rice is the center of their world, the food that sustains them, and she treats it with a kind of reverence. The main dish is a vegetable stew. She has used the fresh vegetables from their garden that Li Wei had watered. There are chunks of sweet melon, slices of crisp cucumber, and a handful of tender greens. She has chopped them neatly, each piece a uniform size so that it will cook evenly. She heats a small amount of rendered pork fat in a heavy clay pot. The fat sizzles and melts, releasing a rich, savory aroma that fills the small hut. Into the hot fat, she adds a few slices of ginger and a crushed clove of garlic. They hiss and sputter, instantly infusing the air with their sharp, pungent fragrance. She stirs them for just a moment with a long wooden spoon, being careful not to let them burn. Then she adds the vegetables to the pot. They make a satisfying sizzle as they hit the hot surface. She stirs them constantly, her movements quick and precise, ensuring that each piece is lightly coated in the flavorful fat. This quick, hot cooking helps to seal in the flavor and the freshness of the vegetables. She adds a splash of rice wine, which steams and evaporates almost immediately, leaving behind a subtle sweetness. Then she adds a ladleful of hot water from a kettle, a spoonful of fermented bean paste for saltiness and depth, and a drop of precious sesame oil. She puts a lid on the pot and reduces the heat of the fire by pulling out a few of the burning logs. The stew will now simmer gently, allowing the flavors to meld and the vegetables to become tender, but not mushy. It is a slow, patient process. While the stew simmers, she prepares one final item. She takes the small piece of salted fish that Li Wei had for his midday meal. There is a little bit left over. She flakes the salty, savory meat with her fingers, removing any small bones. She will use this as a condiment, a small, flavorful topping for the rice. In their frugal household, nothing is ever wasted. Anne watches his mother, fascinated. He is learning by observing. He sees the care she takes, the small, deliberate actions that turn simple ingredients into a delicious and nourishing meal. He is learning that cooking is not just a chore, but an act of love, a way of caring for one's family. The hut is filled with a symphony of gentle, domestic sounds. The soft bubbling of the stew, the crackle of the fire, the quiet scrape of the wooden spoon against the clay pot. These are the sounds of home, of security, of the day winding down to a peaceful close. May tastes the stew, a small, careful sip from the spoon. She nods to herself. It is good. The balance of flavors is just right. It does not need anything else. She has a natural talent for cooking, for understanding how different flavors and textures work together. It is a skill as important to the family's survival as Li Wei's skill in the fields. She takes 3 simple clay bowls from a wooden shelf. She fills each one with a generous portion of the fluffy, white rice. Then she ladles the hot, fragrant stew over the top of the rice. The thick, savory broth soaks into the grains, and the colorful vegetables make a beautiful picture in the bowl. Finally, she sprinkles a small amount of the flaked salted fish over each serving. It is a small touch, but it adds a powerful punch of flavor. The meal is ready. It is a testament to her skill and resourcefulness. A beautiful and delicious meal created from the humble products of their own land and labor. She places the 3 bowls on the low table in the center of the room. The steam rises from them, carrying their delicious aroma. The warm, inviting sight is the culmination of the day's efforts, both hers and Li Wei's. The rice from his fields, the vegetables from her garden, cooked with her care and skill. She calls softly to Li Wei, who has just finished sharpening his tools. It is time to come together, to set aside the work and the worries, and to share in the bounty of their life. The simple meal on the table is more than just food. It is a symbol of their partnership, their resilience, and their love for one another. It is the heart of their home. Li Wei moves from his corner and joins Mei and Anne at the low wooden table. He sits on a woven reed mat, his legs crossed comfortably. The warm glow of the single oil lamp casts a soft, intimate light on their faces and on the steaming bowls of food before them. The world outside the hut has fallen into deep darkness and silence, making their small, lighted space feel even more like a sanctuary. For a moment, no one speaks. They simply sit together, appreciating the food and each other's presence. There is a silent ritual of gratitude before the first bite. Gratitude for the food, for the safety of their home, for the health of their family. It is an unspoken prayer, a shared feeling that needs no words. Then they pick up their chopsticks. The only sounds are the soft clicks of the wooden chopsticks against the clay bowls and the quiet sounds of eating. In the city, a wealthy family's meal might be a noisy affair, full of conversation and ceremony. But here, the meal is a quiet, contemplative event. Li Wei eats with a slow, steady rhythm. He savors each mouthful. The rice is perfectly cooked, each grain distinct yet soft. The vegetable stew is rich and flavorful, the vegetables tender but still with a slight bite. The salty fish provides a perfect counterpoint to the subtle sweetness of the stew. It is a simple meal, but to his hungry body it tastes better than any feast. He watches Mei as she eats. She eats with a delicate grace, her movements small and precise. He feels a deep sense of love and appreciation for her. She works just as hard as he does, her days filled with 1,000 essential tasks that keep their household running smoothly. Her strength is a quiet, steady force that holds their family together. He looks at his son, and the boy is eating with gusto, his face close to his bowl, shoveling the food into his mouth with the happy abandon of a hungry child. Li Wei smiles. A child with a good appetite is a sign of good health. Seeing his son eat so well is one of his greatest joys. It is the most tangible proof that his hard work in the fields has a purpose. The lamplight flickers, making the shadows dance on the walls. It creates a small, intimate world around the table, shutting out the vast darkness of the night. In this small circle of light, they are a complete universe unto themselves. The worries of the world, the emperor in his distant palace, the droughts and floods of years past, none of it can touch them here. There is some quiet conversation, spoken in low tones. Mei asks about the fields, and Li Wei tells her about the section of the dike he repaired and the channel he cleared. He tells her the rice plants are looking strong and healthy. She nods, listening intently. His work is her work, their success a shared one. He asks her about her day. She tells him she finished weaving a new section of cloth. She tells him one of the chickens has laid a particularly large egg. She tells him Anne was a good boy and helped her with her chores. These are the small, simple annals of their daily life. They are not dramatic, but they are the substance of their existence. Anne, eager to contribute, tells his father about a large, colorful beetle he saw in the garden. He describes it in great detail, his eyes wide with excitement. Li Wei listens patiently, asking questions, showing interest. He knows that encouraging his son's curiosity about the natural world is an important part of his education. They do not talk about difficult things at the dinner table. It is not a time for worries or complaints. It is a time for nourishment, for connection, for quiet contentment. It is a time to reinforce the bonds that hold them together as a family. When they have finished their meal, the bowls are empty. They have eaten every last grain of rice, every last drop of broth. Waste is a concept they cannot afford. Li Wei feels full and satisfied. The meal has replenished his energy and warmed him from the inside out. He sits back, feeling a deep sense of peace. The hard physical labor of the day is done. The needs of his body have been met. He is surrounded by his loving family in the safety of his home. In this moment, he wants for nothing. He is a truly wealthy man, though he has no gold or silver to his name. May gathers the empty bowls. She will wash them in the morning. For now, she stacks them neatly in a corner. The fire in the stove has burned down to a bed of glowing red embers, which cast a soft, warm light in their corner of the hut. The oil in the lamp is running low. The day is drawing to its inevitable close. The quiet meal has been more than just a way to satisfy hunger. It has been a ritual that reaffirms their identity as a family. It has been a moment of shared peace in a life that is often difficult and demanding. It is the emotional anchor of their day. The calm harbor they return to after weathering the storms of their labor, and it has prepared them for the final, most peaceful part of their day, the slow descent into sleep. With the meal finished and the bowls cleared away, a special time of the evening begins. The last vestiges of the day's energy have faded, replaced by a quiet, sleepy calm. The fire has died down to a soft, pulsing glow, and the oil lamp sputters, its light growing dimmer. This is the time for stories. Li Wei lies down on his sleeping mat, leaning on one elbow. An, his eyes already heavy with sleep, curls up beside him, his small head resting on his father's arm. Mei sits nearby, her hands busy with some light mending, her needle flashing in the dim light. The single room of the hut feels impossibly cozy and safe. Li Wei begins to speak, his voice low and soft, a gentle rumble in the quiet room. He does not tell exciting stories of war or adventure. He tells the old stories, the ones his father told him, and his grandfather told his father. They are stories of the land, of the river, of the spirits of the earth and sky. Tonight, he tells the story of the Jade Dragon and the Pearl River. He tells of a time long ago when the land was dry and cracked, and the people were thirsty. He describes the compassionate Jade Dragon who lived in the eastern sky, who saw the people's suffering and shed a single perfect tear. His voice paints a picture. An can see the tear falling through the heavens, shining like a pearl. He can see it touch the dry earth, and where it landed, a spring of pure, clear water bubbled up. That spring became a stream, and the stream became a river, the very same river that flows past their village. Li Wei explains that this is why they must always respect the river, why they must keep it clean and take only what they need. The river is a gift from the dragon, a gift of life. The story is more than just a fairy tale. It is a lesson in ecology and gratitude, wrapped in a beautiful, mythic package. An listens, his breathing slow and steady. The story is familiar to him, but he loves hearing it. His father's calm, rhythmic voice is like a lullaby, gently guiding him towards the shores of sleep. The story provides a sense of connection to the past, a sense of place. It tells him that his home is a special, magical place, watched over by benevolent spirits. After the story of the dragon, May puts down her sewing. The light is too dim to continue. She begins to hum a soft, ancient lullaby. It is a simple, repetitive melody with no words. It is a tune that mothers in this valley have hummed to their children for 1,000 years. The sound is incredibly soothing. It blends with the chirping of the crickets outside, creating a gentle, hypnotic soundscape. It is the sound of safety, of love, of the end of the day. Li Wei falls silent, letting May's humming fill the space. He gently strokes Anne's hair. The boy's eyes are closed now, his small body completely relaxed. He is on the very edge of sleep. Li Wei looks over at May. In the dim, glowing light of the embers, her face is beautiful and serene. Their eyes meet, and they share a silent look of understanding and deep affection. This is the best part of the day. This quiet, peaceful time together with their child safe between them. The oil lamp finally sputters its last and goes out, plunging the room into near darkness. Now, the only light comes from the dying embers of the fire and the brilliant starlight filtering in through the open doorway. Li Wei shifts his position, lying down fully on his mat. He pulls the coarse blanket over himself and Anne. He looks out the doorway at the night sky. The moon has not yet risen, and the sky is a vast, black canvas, dusted with an incredible number of stars. The Milky Way is a luminous, shimmering band stretching from horizon to horizon. He has seen this sight every clear night of his life, but it never fails to fill him with a sense of wonder and awe. He feels very small, a tiny speck of life on a vast earth, under an even vaster sky. But he does not feel insignificant. He feels connected to it all. The same energy that makes the stars burn is the energy that makes the rice grow, the energy that animates his own body. He points out a constellation to May, a cluster of stars known to the farmers as the Great Ladle. He tells her it has moved a little further to the west than it was a few weeks ago. The stars are their calendar, a way of marking the slow, inexorable passage of the seasons. The position of the Great Ladle tells him that the height of summer is approaching. They lie in a comfortable silence for a long time, simply watching the stars. It is a form of meditation, a way of putting their own small lives and worries into a much larger perspective. The stars are eternal, unchanging. They were here long before he was born, and they will be here long after he is gone. There is a great comfort in that. The cool night air begins to drift into the hut, carrying the scent of dew and damp earth. It is a clean, refreshing smell. The last of the embers in the stove fade from red to grey. The hut is now completely dark, save for the pale, distant light of the stars. Li Wei feels a profound sense of peace settle over him. His body is tired, but his mind is calm. His heart is full. He has done his work. He has cared for his land and his family. He has honored his ancestors and he has lived his day fully and simply. There is nothing left to do but surrender to the gentle tide of sleep. The final stage of the day is a slow, gentle descent into unconsciousness. It is not a sudden event, but a gradual fading, a letting go. In the deep, quiet darkness of the hut, the world outside seems to dissolve, leaving only the immediate, sensory reality of the present moment. Li Wei lies on his back, his body completely still. He is acutely aware of the physical sensations of this moment. The firmness of the reed mat beneath him, the comforting weight of the hemp blanket on top of him, the cool night air on his face, the soft, even breathing of his son, Anne, nestled beside him. He can hear the faint, whisper-soft breathing of his wife, May, on his other side. Their 3 breaths slowly begin to synchronize, rising and falling together in a quiet, unconscious rhythm. It is the sound of a family at peace, of a small unit secure in its shared space. The symphony of the night continues outside. The steady, high-pitched hum of the crickets, the deep, intermittent chorus of the frogs, the distant hoot of an owl. These sounds are so familiar, so much a part of his world, that they are not a disturbance. They are a comfort, a natural lullaby that signals all is right with the world. He allows his mind to become empty. The thoughts of the day, of the rice, of the dike, of the harvest to come, he lets them all drift away. He does not cling to them. He does not analyze them. He simply allows them to float by like leaves on a slow-moving stream and then disappear. His focus turns inward to his own body. He can feel the gentle, steady beat of his own heart. He can feel the slow, deep movement of his own lungs as they draw in the cool night air and release it again. He becomes an observer of his own life force, the quiet, persistent engine that has powered him through the long day. He consciously relaxes his muscles, one by one. He starts with his feet, which ache from a day of standing and walking in the thick mud. He imagines the tension flowing out of them, sinking into the earth below. He moves his awareness up to his calves, his thighs, feeling them become heavy and loose. He relaxes his back, which carries the memory of the hoe and the sickle. He lets go of the tightness in his shoulders. He relaxes his arms, his hands, his fingers, which were curled around his tools for so many hours, now lie open and soft. He relaxes his neck, his jaw. He lets his face become smooth, releasing the small lines of concentration and effort. A profound sense of heaviness and peace spreads throughout his entire body. He feels as if he is sinking gently into the mat, into the very earth itself. He is returning to the source. The boundary between himself and the world begins to blur. The air he breathes out becomes part of the night. The sounds of the crickets and frogs seem to be happening inside his own head. The beating of his heart is the rhythm of the earth. He is no longer Li Wei, the farmer. He is simply a part of the great, sleeping world. Faint, dreamlike images begin to float in his mind's eye. They are not stories, just disconnected fragments. The shimmer of sunlight on water, the vibrant green of a young rice shoot, the feel of cool mud between his toes, the smile on his wife's face. These are the beautiful, simple essences of his day. His breathing becomes even slower, even deeper. He is on the very precipice of sleep now. He is letting go of control, surrendering to the natural, necessary cycle of rest and renewal. He is trusting that the world will continue to turn, that the sun will rise again in the morning, and that he will be given the strength to meet the new day. His last conscious thought is of the rice, sleeping in the dark fields under the same blanket of stars. He and the rice are partners in this cycle. They both work hard during the day under the heat of the sun, and now they both rest and recover in the cool, quiet darkness of the night, gathering their strength for the growth that is to come. He drifts away. The day is over. The circle is complete. He has woken with the sun, worked with the sun, and now he sleeps under the stars. It is a simple life, a hard life, but a good life. It is a life lived in harmony with the rhythms of the earth. And as he sinks into the deep, dreamless restorative ocean of sleep. He is at peace. The cycle is complete, yet it is never finished. Tomorrow, the sun will rise again, and new stories will be written on the water and the earth, waiting to be told.